Hey everyone. So I wanted to touch base about rounding. This is something I noticed that we were struggling a little bit with. Now, rounding is not an exact answer. It goes along with our estimation. It goes along with, is it reasonable? So we're going to kind of look again to where the rounding is. So I've given you some practice. You can see they've given you a number and they're telling you to round to the thousands. So the first thing I need to do is find the thousands place. I'm going to go ahead and underline it so you can see it there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move to the right. So I always like the song Slide to the Right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Round it down to the floor. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Move back to the left. It's rounding time, which means that becomes a 1. And then everything after this becomes a 0. So I have 501,000. Okay. It's a kind of a silly song, but I like it for myself. Okay. So now I'm rounding to the 100,000s. I'm going to underline the 100,000s. I'm going to slide to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Round it down to the floor. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's a 9. Move back to the left. It's rounding time. So my 2 becomes a 3. And everything else becomes a 0. Okay, 100,000s again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Round it down to the floor. Perfect. I see that it's a 1. So that stays the same and everything becomes a 0. Same with the hundreds. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Round it down to the floor. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Move back to the left. It's rounding time. So my favorite part is everything before stays the same. That 7 or that 8 becomes a 9 and the rest becomes 0. Okay, so you're changing only the underlined digit and everything after it. Whatever is before remains. Okay, so here's the thousands. I'm looking to the next door. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, it's a 0, so that actually would fit. So all of these become zeros, and that stays the same. Okay, let's look at this one. 10,000. Slide to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope, round it down to the floor. A 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Move back to the left. It's rounding time. The 8 stays the same. The 4 becomes a 5, and everything else becomes a 0. Okay, so tricky part. Figuring out our place value, figuring out our rhyme, and figuring out what makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and change my color so you can see. Again, so I'll move this out of the way so you can see for a minute. And I'll erase this too. Okay, so on the side, I'm going to put just some reminders just so we have an idea. Okay, first thing I want to do is I want to underline the place value. If it's already underlined for you, you don't have to do step 1. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to slide to the right. Okay, and that's the number I'm going to look at to see what I'm going to do. And if it's a 1, 2, a 3, or a 4, everything is going to be rounded down to the floor, like ground 0 goes all the way down to 0. Okay, if it's a 5, a 6, a 7, 8, 9, I'm moving back to the left. It's rounding time. So if it's a 1 through 4 or a 0, you're rounding it down. If it's a 5 through 9, you're going back to the left. And you're going to go ahead and round. So I'm going to switch colors for you for red. So the 100,000's here. So I'm going to follow my lines. Underlining, sliding to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. So I'm rounding it down to the floor. So my 3 stays the same and everything else becomes 0. I hope this was helpful. I have a couple more that I'll do this week, but we're taking a little quiz today, and I just want to make sure that we understood what we needed to do. Please make sure to ask questions if you're unsure. Okay?